the withholding breakfast 2 times. Well, he did it twice. He said he was going to do it, and then he actually did it to Kayda.
Zach has been full of manipulation this season when it comes to Kayda, and it does seem to be this power and control dynamic. What's up, everybody? The Love Island USA season is winding down and Big Brother is starting, but there is still time for a thought-provoking video today on Love Island USA. With no episode last night, today is one of those days where I like to see what everyone else on social media is talking about. Today, I just typed in every couple's name, saw what content popped up to see what to talk about. It brought up some very interesting topics of discussion. I want to start on a positive note before we get into the drama. There's this woman on TikTok who loves her some Carly Aniya, and I do think it's cute, even if I don't necessarily totally feel the same way.
That is why it is called Love Island, not Tension Island, not Beg Me to Love You Island, not Make Me Feel Insecure Island. Love Island. You can never, ever convince me that any connection in that house is better than Carly Aniya. You can't convince me.
I mean, I do agree with her that this is supposed to be Love Island, and you are supposed to find the couple that you really think is bringing love, not lust, not what can you do for me, not how can I make you insecure, how can I try and control you, but love. She sees that in Aniya and Carly. And I do agree with this part in her video here where she says, Aniya said she loves cheesy stuff and Carly said say no more, and somehow it's bothering you people. There are people that hate on Carly and Aniya, but yeah, Aniya did want cheesiness. Carly does bring cheesiness. That is a fact.
So if you are voting for your favorite couple, that's your business. But if we're actually looking at connection-wise, connection where you feel the buzz in your heart, where you can feel that excitement, that oh my god, look at Ariana literally did like this. She was cheesing, and he said he can bring a lot of cheese. He's bringing in the cheese.
See, for me, Carly and I don't get my heart buzzing. But there's plenty of people out there. I've talked about this past week. There are a lot of people that get that buzz from Carly and Aniya. And that is fine. I don't dislike them together. I think they're very good together. They don't give me that buzz, however. But they have been a positive relationship on a season that has not had a lot of positivity. And it hasn't had a lot of positivity because a lot of the men this season ain't shit, and that's a fact. And a lot of the men watching this season relate to the men this season because those men also ain't shit. I found this other video that popped up for me that was very thought-provoking, talking about some of the fans this season who have gotten behind KC. I've talked about this all week too, that KC has the red pill incel vote on social media locked down, and how it's not good for the show, and I think producers see that.
Beyond that, I think people just don't like the fan base. I don't think they like what the people have now named KC defenders. Because KC defenders are full of self-proclaimed nice guys, incels, red pill men in the manosphere.
Yes, 2 weeks ago I talked about men writing essays on the KC discourse, how they can relate to KC, even though KC was doing shitty things and saying shitty things that he later admitted to doing and saying it was wrong and apologizing to Aniya for those things. But all these men were getting behind these articles pretending like KC wasn't doing something wrong and KC was the victim, when out of his own mouth he saw the shame on movie night, he felt the shame, he apologized. But a lot of these men on social media who have been lost in this ideology made excuses for KC and continue to do so.
A bunch of different niche subgroups of misogynists, whether those are male misogynists or women who have fallen victim to like internalized misogyny or have not unlearned or are walking around with unchecked internalized misogyny. And I know sometimes when people hear misogyny, they just get scared and they're like, what? I don't hate women. I'm not beating up nobody. And no, you're probably not. But your actions, your thoughts, your ideologies, beliefs do lead to a world in which hating women is okay.
We're quite a large portion of the Casey defenders fall into has been people that all season have been talking every shit about Aniya that they could. They have been hating on Aniya all season. And then these same people want to get online and cry about people talking about KC and pointing out shit that he actually did. And they want to baby him. And they want to say you're being too harsh on KC. But these are the same people that have been harsh on Aniya all season long. And it's not just men, it's women too, and that is misogyny. There is a misogyny view on Aniya this season where she could do no right. Meanwhile, somehow to those same people, Casey can do no wrong.
Like, I'm not saying that all of this is conscious behavior. Sometimes it's subconscious. Because people don't just like him, right? People don't just like him and Titi. People like what he did to Aniya. People like the idea of him feeling vindicated. People like the idea that he should be championed, not just for his decision to choose Titi, but for the ways in which he hurt Aniya.
And this again goes back to so much of the fan base saying Casey did nothing wrong. Then when it came to movie night and he saw it himself and him apologizing, the rhetoric becomes, well, Aniya did all this shit too. This is everything Aniya did. Aniya never outwardly tried to hurt Casey or outwardly talk shit about Casey in the same ways that Casey did to her. And Casey talking that shit also played into all of this misogyny attacks on Aniya.
They will say he did not disrespect Aniya. He did not hurt her feelings. Even if he did hurt her feelings, it doesn't matter because she was annoying. That's what she gets. She's stupid. She's an idiot. She's this, she's that. She never liked black men, right? You see how it goes from, oh, he didn't do anything wrong at all, to actually, here's everything that she did wrong instead, and I'm going to attack her for it. That is what a lot of his fan base has done. They've done the championing him for his behavior, and then somehow it spills into why his behavior should be rewarded and why that harm is actually doing good.
What has been lost is like, yeah, of course Casey deserved to explore. Yes, Casey deserved to find a connection that he wanted. The way he went about it, whether it was because of his terrible communication, he is a terrible communicator and continues to be one. But even if that was the excuse, it didn't need all of the necessary dragging of Aniya right before Casa, during Casa. And then the fact that it's coming from the same people that have been dragging Aniya all season long for everything. It's such a hypocrisy. One thing I do need to touch upon, though, is that the person in the game that actually does show like the most red pill behavior is Zach, because Zach has done nothing but do all of these tactics to Kayda that comes right from red pill strategies.
The withholding breakfast 2 times. Well, he did it twice. He said he was going to do it, and then he actually did it to Kayda. Pushes Caleb to go speak to Kayda, pull her. Then he punishes Kayda for things that are actually okay to do. You said that you guys were not exclusive, right? He punishes her for having a conversation with him. Doesn't give her breakfast. Then he withholds the information about Alana, which I thought was very telling.
Zach has been full of manipulation this season when it comes to Kayda, and it does seem to be this power and control dynamic to make her feel lesser than, to give her breadcrumbs. And that's why she's getting more and more frustrated with it with Zach, even though she's taking it out on her friends, because her friends are calling out the nonsense of Zach saying, we're exclusive now, when they've really been exclusive the entire season. So what does that even matter? I think the problem that comes for KC is that he gets all these attacks for being the red-pilled guy, because he does say some red-pill things. I mean, just in this last episode, talking about how Titi has proven to be worthy of being his girlfriend is right out of the high-valued man red pill playbook. But I actually think that Zach has shown more qualities and actions to actually having that misogynistic view on women altogether that comes with being red-pilled. It's just that Zach does not have this fan base behind him, or these defenders behind him who they themselves are misogynistic and red-pilled like Casey has. So I feel like a lot of the target goes onto Casey because that has been a part of his fan base the entire season. It's a fan base that has also just tried to drag down Aniya to build Casey up, even though Casey himself has apologized for all of his bullshit this season. But I think both Casey and Zach do have some of these red pill qualities of like viewing dating as transactional, which is like, what can this person do for me, rather than seeing them as a person themselves, and using emotional manipulation to maintain control, which both have done this season. But I think Zach is the one who continues to do that over and over. Another trait of being red pilled is being passive aggressive, which both Zach and Casey do very well. There is a lack of respect of boundaries that Casey showed to have in that relationship with Aniya, which we're going to get to that still being spun in a different way here in a minute in this video. But let's finish this woman's great, smart, intelligent thoughts.
It'll then set a precedent of what behavior we think is okay from a man, whether he apologizes for it or not. Because mind you, his fan base, his defenders, are saying that he had absolutely nothing to apologize for. They are actually saying the production made him apologize, and he didn't mean it. And if they were to talk to him, they would tell him, actually, what did you apologize for? You should have never said any of that. But a precedent will be set for behavior that we think is okay from men.
Yeah, so Casey himself has self-reflection and sees all the shit he did wrong, but a large portion of his fan base still think he did nothing wrong. When he gets online, they're going to tell him he did nothing wrong. Will he buy into that and therefore probably ruin his future chances at having a good career in the entertainment industry? It's very possible. Now, this is a deep topic, and I just want to say I'm just a TV reviewer. I'm not one of those frauds who claims to be an emotional intelligence coach without a degree in psychology. There are those out there who are talking about this season and sound dumb as fuck. A lot of those people have been older women. There is a lot of older black women that have just been saying all of these things about Aniya all season to drag her. I don't know what the hating there is. I've talked about this in the past too. Here's another one, someone trying to rewrite history, I guess.
Can I just make a quick observation? Has anybody else noticed that Aniya is no longer sleepy at bedtime? For the past couple nights since they've been sharing a bed, Aniya and Carl have been kissing and being affectionate at bedtime, just like all the other couples. And so I think that this supports the theory that Aniya really wasn't attracted to Casey at all.
Now, this lady looks kind of old, so she might just have Alzheimer's and maybe I should give her a pass. But I don't actually think that's what it is. I think this is what people have been trying to do to either rewrite history or believing into Casey's bullshit once again. Because here is Aniya and Casey on episode 3, just a few days into the game, making out at night. Here they are in an episode a few episodes later, the first week, still having a lot of making out at night. These two did make out at night. Casey had tried to spin things like Aniya was grandma in that conversation. Casey defenders have tried to spin this whole time like it wasn't sexual, but they did used to kiss at night. So he wasn't just talking about plain old affection. That was a sexual conversation between Casey and Corbin, with Casey upset that he wasn't getting more in bed like Kenzie was giving Corbin. And speaking of things these older women commentators have done this season is also, I think, draped in misogyny, in trying to make the Villa girls out to be mean girls. Every conspiracy theory all season, whether it was Soul, whether it was Titi coming back from Casa, even though we've seen Titi get along great with the women. Honestly, fantastic. We've seen all the Casa girls eventually start to get along with the women. I don't know what Soul's problem was. I talked about that when it was happening. But one of the conspiracy theories is that when Titi came back, people wanted to fight her. People were missing from being there around the fire pit. She had this terrible welcome. While Jen, who was there, cleared that up, that none of that ever happened.
We were sitting there the whole time. I've seen that online too. I don't know where they're getting that from, but I was there. They were there. I know it happened. I'm like, they did not leave. No one left, actually.
So yeah, I do think it's wild that a lot of the conspiracy theories this season, a lot of the excuses, a lot of the people bending themselves into pretzels have been to try and make the women, the Villa women, look awful this season, even though we have seen the Villa men's actions be absolutely horrendous. Casey had a good episode on this last episode though, and some people definitely enjoyed his scavenger hunt for Titi to ask her to be his girlfriend, which I have said I enjoy the effort behind that very much. Definitely effort was put into that by Casey, which I do like, and I do think it was cute.
And as much as none of you want to hear it or see it, Casey's gesture of love to Titi last episode, the most romantic thing that has happened this season. From a man specifically. In fact, it is the first non-producer assist gesture of love this entire season.
So yes, the effort into that, I like that Casey did that. I did get this comment though that was talking about how can you ask someone out but make it all about you? No photos of you and the person just rambling on about all the things she has done for you. This was not romantic one bit. And when you put it like that, like I did not like Casey's comment before doing all that about how she has proven to be worthy to be his girlfriend. But when you really think about it from this angle, yeah, this whole thing wasn't romantic because it really was all about Casey. Photos of Casey to try and get Titi to Casey so that Casey can talk about what Titi does for him. It was like, you are worthy of being my girlfriend. I am the prize. You get me. I do have to agree that it really wasn't romantic when you put it into the perspective of the things Casey says and how there was not even any photos of Titi and him together. It was all these photos about him. And I get that I was part of the scavenger hunt to lead her to KC, but it was all about KC. It was not about Titi. Plus, like I talked about with the review of that episode, was that effort really real or was it a scam?
Casey saying that Titi proved she was worthy of being his girlfriend. Get out of my villa. I'm so glad they had this very cute, lovey-dovey moment before they left the villa completely because core 4 to the finale. Because what? No, thank you. Her saying she loves him? Oh. Met 2 weeks ago. And like, it just kind of, I'm not saying it gave scammer, but it kind of did. I'm happy she got her moment out. Like I think that TT deserves a lot in this world.
Yeah, all of that, the scavenger stuff, I did find cute, but once it got to TT saying I love him after 2 weeks, it really did take me completely out of it because we all know TT's been on dating shows before. So saying stuff like that after 2 weeks really does give a scam. Speaking of game players, let's also get back to Zach, who, even outside of all of the red pill shit that he does, he also has done a lot of gaming shit this season too on top of that.
Did anyone catch the part when Zach was being like really dramatic in his room and then Bryce went to go comfort him? When he was like, hey man, are you good? Is everything okay? And he literally goes, everything's full. And he stops himself. Because in that moment, 1, for me, it proved he's playing the game. 2, in his head, he's like, bro, I followed every single thing that my brother told me to do. How the does America not like me? He can't even conceptualize the fact that like he's doing this incorrectly. And even the way that he's like moving with Kayda, he's literally basically telling her, listen, you're bad. You're a baddie. But I don't know how many baddies are going to be waiting for me when I leave out here. So just in case, this is good for me.
I 100% believe Zach came in with tips from Charlie. In fact, I talked about this before the season even started. I talked about this in one of my first videos this season, my cast assessment when the cast first came out. And it was told to us that this was Charlie's brother. I knew coming in he was going to be trying to play a game or scamming. I didn't think it would be as devious as it actually ended up being. But I truly think that his misogyny is what kept him from being able to really play the game well. Because we were able to see his actual character very early on. He could do all of these things to try and make it seem like him and Kayda are it. Like they've been solid since day 3, but the real him always comes out. Masks slip. As someone that watches Big Brother, and I know some commenters have said this before, Big Brother has live feeds. You get to see people. People can't fake things for very long. Maybe a few weeks. Eventually the truth comes out. And the truth is, Zach is nothing but a game player.
Zach only told Kayda that he wants to be exclusive to make it seem like their relationship is in a stronger place than it is. Because that was a totally unnecessary conversation. If he doesn't want to be her boyfriend, no one was forcing him to be. He could have just sat there and they could have been continuing on the same trajectory. They've obviously not been talking to anybody else. Everybody in this villa is closed off.
Yeah, and Zach did this just to try and do something to make it look better to America, to try and salvage he and Kayda's relationship, to try and get further in the game. Which brings me to this next great point on the hypocrisy and stupidity of commentating that has happened online this season.
So are you all going to call the couples who are now closing off or becoming more serious with one another because the finale's coming up and the prize money is getting closer and closer? Are you going to call them scammers for doing that? Because people were coming on here saying Bryce and Trinity were being scammers for literally becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. So are you going to do the same thing with these couples that are just doing it now because the finale is close? Are you going to do it? Because I'm wondering.
Bryce and Trinity, who we've seen actually have a natural progression of their relationship from trying to just be friends to not being friends to longing for each other to becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. They've had so many scamming allegations this entire season, but now we just had two couples, really three if you count Melanie and Sincere, just trying to get more serious now that the finale is coming. Titi and Casey making this big show of it, becoming boyfriend and girlfriend with just a few episodes left. Yeah, the timing is not weird at all. I'm sure that's not scamming at all. And same goes for Zach's game playing ass. Like I've been saying all season though, the white women this year love them some Trinity and Bryce.
I'm partially convinced that Bryce is gonna know there's a prize at the end. Like, I think he heard love and was like, sign me up. And good for him, because he's there, he's got it. Like, that villa, those people, they stress me out, but like every day is a good day because Bernity is good. Bernity's solid. Bernity's official. We're good.
Just a few more things before I go here, because like I said, I typed in every couple to see what would pop up. This is what popped up for Kenzie and Dylan, and I don't hate this opinion. I think it is accurate, even though I don't know what to think about Dylan, period.
Okay, this is going to be a hot take, but I don't care. Love Island. Last night, Kenzie and Dylan, okay? Listen to me. That was called healthy communication. I know people who think conflict is, or not think, but conflict is a major trigger for them, thought that was very ridiculous. I understand that, okay? But when you are emotionally mature, one thing that you're fully going to understand and realize, conflict is in every relationship you're ever going to have. Intimate, friendship, family. If you are being your true, authentic self and expressing yourself, conflict will arise. It doesn't have to be dramatic.
I do agree that I like that Dylan was able to talk about his problems and his issues with Kenzie and his insecurities instead of just sweeping them under the rug. In fact, I do think that is really good communication. And a lot of couples do sweep things under the rug instead of talking about it to avoid conflict.
And the emotional mature part of it, and the reason why it's healthy communication, is the reflection and the resolve. Don't let that go over your heads. Learn something from that if that didn't feel right for you, because that's what it was. It was reflection and resolve. Kenzie cared enough to reflect and really sit with her feelings on it, let her defenses down, and she was like, oh, you just want reassurance. You want validation. I didn't hear you and you just wanted to be heard. And she apologized and she took accountability. And honestly, to see the smile on Dylan's face, because that's exactly what he needed and she met his need, you can't tell me that these two people don't care about each other.
Now, I don't know if I fully agree with this. I don't know if these two truly care about each other. In fact, I don't think they do at all. But I do still think getting your problems off of your chest is more healthy than trying to sweep it all under the rug. Because, yeah, I don't see anything real between Dylan and Kenzie. Honestly, lastly, just the typical stuff about Melanie that I do find to be true. And Melanie's stands as well.
Congratulations to the toxic Melanie Mafia, because you guys now got her to think that America does see her and Sincere as compatible. I've gotten a lot of people in my comments, specifically on Facebook, saying that, oh, we're doing this so that she can get brand deals. Mommy, papi, she lives in LA. Brand deals are going to come whether she's top 4, top 6, top 8. Brand deals are going to come for her, okay? All you're really doing is actually doing her more damage, because you're serving Melanie to Sincere on a silver platter.
Yeah, I don't know what Melanie fans are thinking. I get that this is not new to Love Island. Love Island voters always just vote for their favorite people despite their couple. However, I don't think it helps Melanie this season, because Melanie has looked so dumb, and there's been this lack of being able to have respect for her, because Sincere really has done a number on her and made her look stupid, and she doesn't stick up for herself or stand up for herself when it comes to the Sincere stuff. But I think Melanie fans are going to keep voting. And I think Melanie has a good shot at top 2. I really do think that. I actually think the support for Melanie is growing even more. Sincere obviously should not be touching that money. But I think that would be not so smart, because what if Sincere just takes the money? His fake ass, who knows what he would do. He's such a big liar. One of the biggest liars I've seen on this franchise. Anyway, there's one of the final roundups I'll be doing this season. As the season is thankfully coming to an end. I don't think producers have done a good job this season. And I do think this cast of men still sucks. Almost every single one of them has sucked this entire season. And the dating scene in America is full of misogyny. It's getting worse, not better. So good luck out there if you are dating, because both men and women hate women out there in the year 2026.